What would you do if, on your very first night shift, you opened the logbook and found your own signature already inside it, written a full year before you ever took the job? My name is Ryan Cole. I was 27 years old, and the place was Black Hollow Way Station, mile marker 214, on a mountain pass in Wyoming, where the winters don't just get cold, they get hungry. I don't expect you to believe what I'm about to tell you. I'm honestly not sure I believe it myself, but I need to say it out loud, because if I don't, I think it's going to happen again, to someone else, maybe tonight. 3 months before all this started, I'd lost my job at a logistics company outside Casper. Rent was late. My truck was one missed payment from getting repoed. So when the Teton County Highway Division posted an opening for a remote night shift gate operator, 6 weeks, alone, through the worst of winter, I said yes before I even asked what the job actually was. I should have asked. The drive up Route 9 took 4 hours that first night, in weather that should have taken 2. My headlights barely reached 10 feet in front of the hood. Twice I passed a mile marker and couldn't tell if I'd already passed it once before. Somewhere around mile marker 200, my phone lost signal completely, and it didn't come back. Not once. Not the entire 6 weeks. I remember thinking, right before I saw the station lights through the snow, that a smarter man would have turned the truck around right there. I kept driving anyway. I needed the paycheck more than I needed to be smart. The man who trained me was named Warren Hicks, 61 years old, 30 winters on that mountain. He was retiring the morning after he trained me, and looking at his face when he said that word, retiring, I understood it meant something closer to escaping. Warren gave me 3 rules before he left. Rule 1, log every single vehicle that passes the gate. No exceptions, no matter how bad the weather looks. Rule 2, if the station phone rings exactly twice, then stops. Do not call that number back, ever. Rule 3, he never finished it. His truck was already running outside. He just looked at me, dead serious, and said, "You'll know it when you see it. Just don't open the door." Then he was gone, and I was alone with a radio, a logbook, and 200 miles of snow in every direction. Before he left, I watched him do one more thing. He walked to the station's only window, the one facing the road, and he checked the latch on it twice. Then he glanced out at the tree line for a long moment, like he was counting something or waiting for something to move. I asked him what he was looking for. He said, "Nothing. Not tonight." Then he got in his truck and never looked back at the building once, the whole way down the mountain. The station itself was smaller than I expected. 1 room, a space heater, a CB radio bolted to the counter, and that logbook chained to a clipboard like someone, once, had been worried it might walk off on its own. On the first night alone, I tried the county directory to thank Warren for the heads up on the raccoons and the generator noise. The number listed for him had been disconnected. When I asked dispatch the next morning if they had a current number for a Warren Hicks, 30 years on that route, the woman on the line went quiet a second too long before saying she'd never heard the name in her life. The first 2 nights were quiet, routine, even. A snowplow, a ranger truck. I logged them, made coffee, watched the wind throw snow sideways across the one window in that station. Something startled me around 1 a.m. on the second night, a heavy thud against the outer wall. I grabbed a flashlight, heart hammering, and found nothing but a raccoon knocked loose from the generator housing, long gone into the dark. I laughed at myself out loud, just to hear a voice in that empty room. Later that same night, I could have sworn I heard footsteps circling the building, slow and even, crunching through the snow. I checked the window 3 times. Nothing. No tracks. I told myself the wind plays tricks on a building with metal siding. I actually started to relax. Then came night 3. At 11:42 p.m., the radio crackled to life. A trucker said his rig had slid off Route 9, 3 miles east of the gate. Said he had his wife and kid in the cab with him. Said the heater was dying and the cold was getting in fast. His voice kept cutting in and out under the static. He said his name was Frank. Said his daughter was 6 years old and scared, and could I please just stay on the line with them a while until help came. I told him to hang tight, that I'd radio it in to county rescue. He thanked me, asked if I could give them the mile marker nearest the station, so rescue would know exactly where to look. I read it off to him, 214, and there was a pause on the other end, a long one, filled with nothing but wind noise, before he came back. Then he said, "You're a good man, Ryan." I froze. I never told him my name. I checked the radio log. I hadn't said it. Not once, not on any channel, to anyone. I keyed the mic and called back. No answer, just static. And underneath that static, so faint I almost convinced myself I imagined it. Breathing. I told myself it was a cross signal, some glitch bouncing off the mountain. That's the story you tell yourself out there, alone, at midnight, with 200 miles of dark between you and another human being. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, digging through supplies for extra batteries, I found an older logbook shoved in the back of a drawer. Water damaged, pages curling. I opened it out of boredom more than anything. The last entry was dated January 14th, exactly 1 year before that night. It described a trucker distress call at 11:42 p.m., a wife and a kid in the cab. Word for word, almost exactly what had just happened to me. And at the bottom of the entry, in handwriting that made my stomach drop straight through the floor, was a signature. Ryan Cole. My handwriting. My name. On a night I never worked. Before I had ever heard of this station, this job, this mountain. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, but I kept flipping backward through the pages anyway. I don't know why. Some part of me needed to know how far it went. It went back further than 1 year. 3 entries, 3 different Januaries, 3 different years. Each one describing a distress call around 11:42 p.m., each one signed at the bottom in that same handwriting. Some years the name was Ryan Cole. 1 year it wasn't a name I recognized at all. But the entry underneath it, describing what happened next, was word for word identical to the others, like someone had simply crossed out the old name and written in a new one when the time came. I told myself it had to be a joke, some twisted, hazing ritual Warren cooked up for the new guy. I wanted to believe that so badly I nearly convinced myself. Then I looked out the window. There was a man on the road, far off, maybe half a mile, walking toward the station through snow that had to be 3 feet deep. No coat, no hat, just walking, slow and steady, like the cold didn't touch him at all. I watched him for 10 minutes. He didn't get any closer. I watched him for an hour. He still hadn't gotten any closer. But he also never stopped walking. That's when I understood something was very wrong with that road. I radioed dispatch, told them a man was out on the pass with no gear, likely hypothermic. They said they'd send someone. 40 minutes later, they called back and said no one could find a man matching that description anywhere on Route 9. Said the road was empty from the gate to the county line. I looked out the window. He was closer now, maybe a quarter mile. Still walking, still somehow never arriving. I called dispatch 2 more times that hour. The first time, a woman named Deb told me the road cameras at the county line showed nothing but empty highway, and asked, kindly, if I'd maybe been awake too long. The second time, nobody answered at all. Just the hollow click of a line connecting to nothing, over and over, like the call was looping back to my own station instead of going anywhere else. I checked my watch. Somehow 40 minutes had passed in what felt like 10. I stopped checking the window after that. Told myself if I didn't look, it wasn't real. Rule 3, I understood now, without Warren ever finishing the sentence. Don't open the door for the man on the road. At some point after that, I noticed a handprint on the inside of the window glass. Not the outside, the inside. Small fog trails around it, like breath, like someone had stood right there in that empty room and leaned close to look out at the same man I was watching. I pressed my own hand against it. It didn't match. Mine was bigger. I didn't sleep sitting up after that. I didn't sleep at all. At 2:14 a.m., the station phone rang. Once, twice, then stopped. I remembered Rule 2. I didn't touch it. 10 minutes later, it rang again. Once, twice, stopped. I sat there with my hand hovering over the receiver for what felt like an hour, wanting so badly to hear a human voice. Any human voice, just to prove I wasn't the only person left on that mountain. I almost picked it up. I didn't. Near dawn, digging through an old filing cabinet for anything that might explain what was happening to me, I found a folder of local newspapers. Obituaries, road closure notices, the kind of paperwork nobody ever throws away in a place like that. One clipping was dated January 15th of last year, the morning after that old logbook entry. Local man, 27, found deceased near mile marker 214 following winter storm. Authorities believe victim left his post to respond to a reported vehicle accident and became disoriented in whiteout conditions. Dispatch has no record of the original call. There was a photo under the headline. It was my face. Underneath, in smaller print, a single line, survived by no immediate family. Services private. I remember laughing at that, a short, ugly sound with no humor in it at all, because it was true. It was still true. There was no one down the mountain who would notice if I didn't come back from this shift. That was half of why I'd taken the job in the first place. I want to be clear. I had never seen that article before in my life. I had never left that station, never gotten lost in a storm, never died on a mountain road. I was sitting right there, breathing, reading my own obituary with my hands shaking so hard I tore the page straight down the middle. I told myself it was a relative, a coincidence, bad newsprint, and a face that just happened to look like mine. I told myself a lot of things that night. None of them were true. By 4 a.m., the trucker's voice was back on the radio, thinner now, more desperate. Said the cold was inside the cab. Said his kid had stopped crying, which was somehow worse than if she hadn't. Dispatch still couldn't find them. Rule 1 screamed in my head, never leave your post. But I was already reaching for my coat. I told myself I had no choice, that a family was freezing to death 3 miles down that road, and no one else was coming. I stepped outside into wind that felt like it had teeth. The cold hit me somewhere past my coat, past my skin, somewhere I didn't know cold could reach. The station light behind me threw a long yellow rectangle across the snow, and I remember thinking, absurdly, that I should stay inside that rectangle, that as long as I stood in the light nothing could touch me. I took one step past the edge of it anyway, toward the road, toward Frank, toward a family I still believed was out there freezing. That's when I saw him clearly for the first time. Close now, close enough to make out details through the snow. He was wearing the same jacket I was wearing. He had my hair cut. He was walking with a limp in his left leg, the exact leg I'd broken snowboarding 2 winters before. He raised his hand and pressed it flat against the air, 30 yards out, like there was a window there that hadn't been built yet. Like his body still remembered a door he never made it back through. And that's when the radio crackled on, one final time. It wasn't the trucker. It wasn't dispatch. It was a voice I knew better than any voice in the world. Because it was mine. 27 years old, scared, saying words I recognized instantly. Because I had said them exactly 1 year ago, walking out this same door into this same storm, following a distress call that dispatch never actually logged. I never made it back. I had been narrating this whole story from a night that already happened. Every quiet shift, every rule Warren gave me, every hour behind that window. All of it was a memory, replaying, because some part of me still believed that if I told it one more time, it would end differently. It never does. I am the man on the road. I understand now why the job posting always goes out in December, every single year, always for 6 weeks, always through a different staffing company with a slightly different name. I understand why the pay is always just enough to make someone stop asking questions. It finds people like I was. Broke, alone, easy to forget. People nobody down the mountain will notice are missing. I've walked that half mile every year since, on the anniversary, toward a light that never gets any closer, no matter how long I walk toward it. And every January, a new hire named something or other sits inside that station, watching a man matching a dead man's description approach through the snow. Because I still believe that if I just keep walking, I'll finally make it inside. I'll finally get warm. I don't. I never will. If you ever take a winter night shift at some forgotten station, and the man training you gives you 3 rules and only explains 2 of them, listen anyway. Follow everyone, especially the one he never finishes. And if you ever see someone matching your own description out there, walking through a blizzard, alone, for hours, never arriving, never stopping. Rule 3, don't go out to bring him in. He's not lost. He's not trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to get home. And some nights, I think he's getting closer. I used to believe the worst part of that mountain was the cold. It isn't. The worst part is the light in that station window, gold and warm and so close, glowing every single night for a man who is never, ever going to reach it. If you take a night shift out there someday, and someone always does, because someone always needs the money more than they need to be careful, do one thing for me. Leave the porch light on a little longer than your shift requires. It's the only warmth I've got left. If this one kept you up, hit subscribe. A new true night shift horror story drops every week. And trust me, this mountain isn't the only place something like this has happened. And if you've ever worked a shift that still makes you check the window at 2 a.m., or a job that felt just a little too easy to get, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Stay warm out there. And if you ever see someone matching your own description standing at the edge of the light, don't go out to bring him in.